Hey friends, welcome to the Daily Dose. My name is Brian. You know, I was having a conversation with my daughter tonight at dinner. We were talking about some friends of hers that she's been hanging around with at recess at school. And I told her about how my father, her pawpaw, used to tell me when I was a kid that I needed to be really careful about who I hung around with. My dad would say, you become who you hang around with. Another one of his favorites was guilty by association, right? And so I was having this conversation with my daughter, and I began to realize that, you know, it's so important as children, right? For those of us with kids, we know how important it is to warn our children about who they hang around with, right? Because if a child hangs around another certain group of kids, they'll begin to adopt their speech patterns, their habits, their attitudes. They'll get involved in the things those kids are involved in, and you know, sometimes those aren't such great things, right? And that's why we tell our kids to be careful with their associations. But if that's true as kids, isn't it equally true for us as adults? I mean, shouldn't we be equally as cautious about who we associate with? I mean, think about it. If we hang around with people who complain and settle for mediocrity and have certain standards of behavior, won't we begin to adopt those same expectations for our lives and those same behavioral patterns and everything else that goes along with it? Won't we begin to expect less for our lives? Conversely, if we hang around people who've achieved a tremendous amount and been very successful and they hold themselves to certain standards of achievement and behavior, won't we begin to adopt those same attitudes and behaviors in our lives? Guys, just because you're 40 instead of 4 doesn't mean that the laws of human nature don't apply. You become who you hang around is a lifelong lesson, and it matters as much now as it ever did when you were a kid. So choose your associations very wisely. And that's the dose. Have a great week, everybody.